So, one of the things I want to talk about mostly of Star Wars is one, I think it's pretty unanimous that fans weren't happy with the new trilogy, with the Disney trilogy. We can kind of get into specific. We can get into
I'm like,
specifics in a bit.
I mean,
like that's
if you want
so divisive as the fandom.
like as far as understatements go,
Yeah,
that's
but I mean,
I'm like, and everyone has a different one that they think is bad, which is the
well,
interesting
and
part.
rather than focusing on what we thought was bad, I want to focus on what we thought was good.
Okay, we can do that,
yeah,
Because what's been
but that's
good,
not fun. I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
we can highlight the bad as we go through the good.
yeah,
Alright.
that's true.
That's fair.
So,
Uh, Definitely something I want to say that is like good about the new trilogy is that it keeps the feel of Star Wars. Like, um, there's been discussion as to what's the main difference between Star Trek and Star Wars, and the biggest like kind of click that I've ever heard was that Star Trek is a utopia, so everything's perfect.
Right.
Where Star Wars is very dystopian, and even in like the most perfect of times, like even in the earlier,
it's in the name Star Wars.
yeah, it's
Completely.
yeah, but it's not always conflict, but even just the world is still trying to like, or I guess the universe is trying to build off of the scraps that they have. Like it's things aren't symmetrical. They're you have lots of like, oh, this might look perfect on one side, but on the other side,
Okay.
it's very
That's
just
very fair. Now, knowing your background in Star Wars, can I ask, do you feel the prequel trilogies had that feeling? Because I know you're not the biggest prequel fan.
I am not the biggest prequel fan.
But
However, in more recent times, yeah, I know you're
yeah,
all about the
I
prequels.
love the
I
prequels.
love
I was a child. Those are my golden
Yeah,
years. Like that's
and I get that. Like it's very generational. It comes out to what you watched growing up as a child, and I was still young enough to where I enjoyed the prequels in that essence, but I had an entire like
yeah. You were coming up on
chunk
you were
of
coming up on your
years.
teen years.
Yeah, I was
Your childhood was
was the originals.
yeah.
And so, and of course, my favorite is Empire Strikes Back because it is the best one, except for Dagobah. That's a little slow, but that's a whole other
Dagobah kind of slows the
yeah,
movie down a bit.
the pacing is a little off, but that's
That's the kind of way I feel about the pacing of the original trilogy in general.
mhm.
I feel watching the original trilogy can be a bit of a slog for a more modern
Yeah
movie consumer
yeah
because we've gotten used to more fast-paced stories, fast-paced, which it's nice to when you go because the whole pacing of the original trilogy that's very much of the film of the 70s. That's you watch a film from the 70s, it's going to have these long drawn out scenes, and that was just filmmaking at the time.
yeah
It's not like oh no, this was like we're gonna change this by making it faster. It's just no, our perception of filmmaking and what made strong scenes it changed over the years.
yeah absolutely. It definitely has become more fast paced. It's less about the story and more about the show.
Very much
Um,
so.
and that's where there is that kind of transition within the original or the prequels, I should say. I say the original sequels, but they're prequels. Um, with those ones, I do feel like they had that essence of Star Wars primarily because George Lucas was still at the helm. So if anyone who's gonna know what the feel of Star Wars is,
it's gonna
It's
be
George.
the
It's the guy
creator.
that made it.
Yeah.
and
No.
that's where going into the sequels, this newer sequel trilogy, you don't have him anymore. He's not included. It's three new, or it was supposed to be three new directors, two new directors, but they're all helmed by the one executive producer of Kathleen Kennedy, and she was the only one who carried over from that classic Lucas era.
Well, and that's just it. Is Kathleen Kennedy came from classic Lucas
Yeah,
era, and then you had the entire fandom like, well, this woman's responsible for everything that's
yeah,
wrong. And it's like, but she produced so much of the movies that
So
made your
much of-
childhood.
Yeah.
and that's the thing. It's like, oh, she's the problem, and it's not that she's the problem. The problem is that a lot of the fandom is just not down with change. Like in any aspect, like this is something that they hold sacred. Don't change it in any which way. Don't change the way that Luke thinks. Don't change the way that Han feels. Like don't change these aspects of these characters that I know and love because they mean so much more to me than they do to you. To you, they're just characters in a movie. To me, they are
They're my heroes.
heroes. Yeah, and so that's where it becomes it's kind of like a cry about it moment for the fandom. It's just like, well, you know, they can't always be that. They are supposed to be people.
They're humans that
Yeah,
grow.
they're humans that grow. Things aren't always the same. In the beginning of Force Awakens, it's not really they're not really back at war yet. They kind of are. They're trying to suppress a war. It's like a guerrilla war, but they're not full-fledged like rebellion. And then even in the prequels, like the first one, they weren't even at war yet. Like,
Yeah,
No,
it was
a-
again, it was the
it
starts
was a
and seeds of a
political
war.
yeah,
move.
it was
Yeah.
the seeds of a war that was getting planted, and you know,
Which I know how your big thing is watching Phantom Menace is you've said nothing happens.
no, yeah, there's no relevant information that happens in the Phantom Menace other than Obi-Wan comes across Anakin.
What about Chancellor Palpatine comes to power? He
Chancellor-
becomes the Chancellor
Yeah.
in that movie.
He does become the Chancellor, but the question is, did you really need to see it?
I think so.
I mean, okay, but
I think it makes the fall of him that much stronger because you see him meeting Anakin, and that's this whole that's gonna be Vader.
but but he meets Anakin and he says two words that we'll meet or like one.
We'll
one
we'll
sentence.
watch your future.
We'll watch your future with
great
with
interest.
Great interest. Like that's it. That's all he says to him, and then he pushes him aside and keeps walking. Like that's where a lot of what Phantom Menace suffers from is that every other Star Wars movie has a main character that you can attach to. Like it's an ensemble film. Like you have many main characters and they all have their arcs, but there's always one central character that you're following.
Well, and I would argue that, and you would say this is why the movie suffers. I'd argue the main character is Qui-Gon Jinn, but you would say the movie suffers because by the end of it, he's dead.
Yeah,
So
and
it's not like it really matters.
It's not so much that like because yeah, it does focus a lot on Qui-Gon Jinn and he would be the central character, but he doesn't add anything to it. Like it's just you're watching someone just kind of walk down the street without looking at but all these things are happening behind him, but you're watching the person walk down the street. Like I mean, yes, he finds Anakin. Okay.
Well,
cool.
and I feel like that type of relation. I think it was important to show that structure because I feel the emotional journey of Anakin is very much something that's overlooked, but it's a strong undertone in the movie. Which is, again, he didn't have this connection to his parents, and that's something that he longed for and thought he was going to get from the Jedi. But the Jedi were like, "That's not what we're about."
That's true. That's true. I mean, that's very much what seems to be for what Anakin's arc was set up to be. But I don't know. My issue with Qui-Gon is that.
Which I'll agree that should have been the central arc of all of it, as opposed to the political aspect of it.
There was so much political, and I get it. The political part is just trying to establish the war that's going to come up, which is going to lead to the other war, which is going to lead to the eventual, resolution at the end of the original trilogy. But there was just if the entire point of the movie was to reach a younger audience, and here you are coming in with politics, with trade negotiations, embargoes.
I don't know what you're talking about. 14-year-old queen. That was awesome.
Jar Jar said something funny. That's what as a child. That's what I'm picking up. But
well, see, as a child, I was like, "Whoa, lightsabers!"
Yeah, and then that was. I see where that was his focus on having a fully fledged Jedi as the central character with his Padawan. That they bring in this aspect of the old Republic, the old Jedi way, and all these lightsaber duels that were commonplace in Jedi times, but not so much in the new era when all the Jedi have been slaughtered. There's one old guy who knows what Jedi used to be, and he's fighting super slow. A robot man who is so damaged that he can't fight super fast, and this guy who
has no formal training.
Yeah, who has no formal training, almost chops his hand off a few times. Let's never forget that he looked down the barrel of a lightsaber. That almost ended the saga real quick. But yeah, I mean, it goes either way. But I do feel like the prequels do have that sort of Star Wars feel, the same way as the sequels. Where the sequels lacked is what the prequels had. The prequels had a very definitive end goal. Regardless of where it started.
Whereas the sequel trilogy was started by J.J. Abrams, the guy that made Lost.
Yeah, and okay, yeah, really, you're gonna do this. have we ever talked about the smoke monster? Like, where did that go
Well, and
on,
it's like,
Moss?
well, and that's that's one of my big problems with everyone like, oh, Ryan Johnson derailed everything. It's like, okay, but J.J. Abrams never made the tracks.
Yeah, well, he did, but like, he didn't.
He didn't have a plan for where it was gonna go.
Yeah, he didn't. He didn't really. I feel like he did have a plan for where it was going to end up in his mind, which is where we kind of, where when he took over for number 9. I don't even remember what number 9 is called. Rise
The
of
Rise of
Skywalker.
Skywalker.
It's
I have only seen Rise of Skywalker once.
Same here.
Yeah.
I own it. I have only seen it once.
And the Force Awakens, we saw twice in theaters because the first time we were like, cool, Star Wars.
Mhm.
The second time we were like, we need to go see it again because I think that was bad and I need to be sure.
Yeah, that's definitely how I feel the second time around. I mean, I still enjoy.
I
Force Awakens.
tried watching the Force Awakens last week. I could not do it. I could not. As soon as Han Solo and Chewie got into the Millennium Falcon, I was done. I was just laughing. The whole thing was just, I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it.
I think the big thing that the newer movies, the sequel trilogies, suffer from is it's kind of a weird complaint about it. It's a lot of they utilize a lot of imagery that's from modern filmmaking when it comes to like war movies.
Yeah.
Because like the scene where the stormtrooper is putting the bloody hand, there's no blood in Star Wars. There's never been blood in Star Wars. If it is, it's a little drip on and it's usually discolored.
Let's
never forget that Obi-Wan chopped off the hand.
That's fair. That's fair. But like it just, I don't know. It didn't.
But they've like chopped bodies in half in
I
Star
know,
Wars, and there's like no
bone
blood.
instantly. There has been a minimal amount of blood, and they definitely were going for that more raw, like.
I'm like, and it's not even just that scene. There's like multiple scenes in
I didn't get to it in Force Awakens,
sequel
but when they're on Takananada, and it's like TIE fighters, a Desert Storm.
Yeah.
What the hell is that?
There's definitely a lot
That's
of.
not Star Wars.
That's not Star Wars.
Yeah, no, there were a lot of shots that just didn't feel that like.
That's Star Wars.
And then I feel like and I don't think any of the 3 movies nailed this right, which was starfighting. I didn't feel like starfighting was done right till I started watching The Mandalorian.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, we're finally starfighting again. This is starfighting in Star Wars. This is how this should look.
Well, see, where The Mandalorian benefits is that it takes place right after Return of the Jedi, so it still has that like post-war like raw feeling. Everyone's still trying to figure out what's happening.
That whole picking up the scraps
feeling.
feeling.
Picking up the scraps feeling, and it's just like, all right, well, the Empire's gone. I can't even use their money now. Well, what do I do? I'm a bounty hunter. I work for money, and you're gonna give me Republic credits that no one's taking yet because it's not real money, like
Crypto.
yeah. Why are you paying me in Doge?
Bitcoin, Doge.
Like Grogu coin.
Yeah, like Grogu coin.
What's the other one? Shiba.
Shiba.
Sure.
Yeah, there's the Elon.
Nah, we got to get that Bantha coin started.
Yes. Oh my goodness.
Which, okay, controversial.
Oh no.
I liked The Last Jedi. I really liked the movie, but my expectations were so low going into it.
That's fair. That explains why. Yeah.
I did not expect to like it. I didn't go into it like, oh, I want to like this. I went into this like, this is gonna be. I went to see it without Anika, because she was like, no, I'm out. After Force Awakens, I'm out.
Yeah, and then he went to see
and
it,
then I
he
went to
was
go see it by
like,
myself, and I was like, this
This is really good.
This
dude.
was
You should
really
go
good.
See it. And I was like, okay.
And I didn't just think it was good. I thought it was really good.
I also enjoyed The Last Jedi when I first saw it. What I didn't like about it were just little nitpicky things here and there.
And that's okay.
And
Everybody's
it's
got
more
them.
reflective of kind of what was happening at the time. Carrie Fisher had just died, and so I was like, they did that scene where she gets blown out into space. That would have been the logical and perfect way for her to. That's it. That's the end of Princess Leia. She died in battle. She was a war hero. That's it. But they had to bring her back for some reason for her to show up for 10 minutes at the end of the movie. Like, okay, I guess, but that's where it's like, it wasn't even subverting my expectations. It's just it was a nitpicky sort of like I didn't like that because they had that perfect out for her,
And they didn't take it.
take it. They went a different route, and I guess narratively it kind of worked because it brought Luke back into the fold
I mean,
and everything.
It
With-
also kind of bit him in the butt because she,
well, and let's face
Yeah.
it, they made a lot of those narrative choices before she died.
Yeah, I guess,
And
yeah.
it was basically like what they do to speedsters in movies, which is they nerf them and
Yeah,
take
you
him
have to
out.
nerf
Yeah, you have to take him out of the picture for a bit.
and yeah. 'Cause
Which hot take? I don't think they should have brought back in the original 3 actors.
I support this.
I think
I
that-
understand why they did, and it's a passing of the torch. That's all it was. It was
Yeah.
just, it was passing of the torch.
I think they should have full on recasted new actors.
You think and
I don't think it would have been weird because we've had 2 actors play Obi-Wan Kenobi. We've had multiple
We had
actors
3
play
actors
Darth Vader.
play
I mean,
Anakin Skywalker.
that is true, but at the same time, like you're working with a logical time jump within the story itself, where
Yeah.
the old actors can play themselves.
Yeah.
Where like going back into, not gonna spoil some things for you, so I'm just gonna right there, because you're not there yet.
What, Mandalorian?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. No, I'm not at the. I mean, I saw the ending of the Mandalorian.
Okay, so
like,
you know what
yeah,
happens.
yeah, I know what happens.
Okay, so well, going into that, obviously you have to cast someone else. Like you can't just bring him in. So
Sebastian Stan.
that it would have worked. It would have worked.
I'm still waiting for it. Like,
Hot take. The guy that they cast for young Han Solo, I think he looks perfectly like young Han Solo.
I liked Han Solo.
The
Yeah.
Solo,
movie.
the Solo
I liked
movie.
the Solo
It
movie.
was fun.
I didn't think it was like great or groundbreaking, but I thought it was. I thought it was fun, and I thought if they were gonna do solo one-off Star Wars movies,
Yeah.
this is fine.
Yeah, like as it's just like a one-off, it sets up what you need to set up. It explains how you get to the Millennium Falcon because that's what the purpose of the story is. That's all. It
Yeah.
is. But
By all means, we didn't even need the Kessel Run, but we got it.
yeah, we got the kiss. Like, cool, sweet. He cheated and lied about that too. But it's him. It's him. But the movie, when I saw it, I had seen it much later. It had already released like on DVD and Blu-ray and all that. But I went in with very low expectations because I had heard that it was a terrible movie. I was like, all right, well, I'll watch it to complete the set, and I actually enjoyed it. I had fun. The character of Kira was really underutilized, but from more recent things that are happening in shows, it seems like her part's gonna be expanded.
Oh, that's cool.
You're not there yet.
Did they come back? Is Crimson Dawn coming back?
I can't disclose anything.
Oh,
But there are seeds.
I was interested in where that story was going, and like when everyone I see the construction's back.
Well, just if you hear that, it's just me farting.
Yeah.
Just not.
Like we put up the. You put up the.
Yeah, I
the
put up the
cartons.
thing. It's
Okay.
the cartons are behind that wall of pillows and other boxes.
So we're trying different DIY soundproof methods.
Which honestly, I think it's working pretty good.
Hell yeah, because I told you what to do. I'm kidding.
But yeah, I assume that you're not on Book of Boba Fett yet. If you're
No.
And I'm hearing mixed reactions, so I'm just trying to ignore
Honestly,
any reactions
it's
to
a
it.
slow burn. Like I had to, I watched the first episode. I'm like, this is okay. Like, and
I mean, Mando kind of gets a slow start.
Empire Strikes Back is my favorite, so Boba Fett is my goat.
I was watching someone reacting because I've been watching a lot of reaction videos.
Mhm.
I was watching a reaction video for it's Mr. Video, so watch his channel because I will just promote his channel for free because I love that guy.
He's so great.
he's watching Empire or not, it was Return, and it's the Sarlacc pit scene,
Mhm.
and he's like, "Oh, you shooting at my boy Luke?" And it's Boba Fett. And then he gets taken out later in the fight, and he's like, "Ah, how's he just gonna take it out like that? Ah, whatever. It's what he gets for shooting at my boy." I ain't gonna lie, his armor was dope though. And I'm like, "Yep, that's exactly what everyone else thought in 1981."
That's exactly not even 81, 79.
Yeah, 79 was an Empire
Empire
drop.
came
Yeah.
out. But that's like, it's definitely a slow burn. The first episode is kind of hard to get to. The second episode's also it's a little bit easier, but like I had to push myself past those. Episode 3 and 4 have been solid though. Like solid. Mando
It wasn't
level.
until episode 4 that I was like in on Mando.
Yeah, and so that's where I feel like you kind of have to get to episode 4, because now they've gone past all the establishing stuff. They're definitely going into it, and seeing as it's Jon Favreau who's doing it too, like it makes sense. It's the exact same sort of writing style he has. Robert Rodriguez is doing an amazing job of directing it. Like that dude has some serious talent. I've always known it, but you know he gets overshadowed by Tarantino.
I mean, I fucking love Robert
Yeah,
Rodriguez.
Robert Rodriguez.
But I mean, I think that's us as Latinos. We're like, no, this is the guy.
Yeah, this is the guy. This is Spy Kids.
It's like, did you guys not? Have you seen Spy Kids 2? That's like top 10 greatest sequels of all time.
It's pretty.
Whoa. Top 5. Come on.
I'm sorry. I forgot. So good. It's like Cheech Marine didn't need to come back.
No,
But he
didn't.
But he did.
He did it for us.
All right. So we're looking on the horizon for Star Wars. We have, for the most part, even though we've been let down, we're still pretty optimistic, which I think that's something that's just the longevity of Star Wars at this point.
Yeah, I feel like like Star Wars or Disney has. Oh no, I said the medical word.
Demonetized. It's cool. My show's pretty raunchy.
We've kind of figured we're only gonna get sponsors.
Yeah.
I'm just working till I get that Raid Shadow Legends deal.
Raid Shadow Legends. Okay, so Disney has done a fairly they bungled the sequel trilogy.
I think they've done a better job with Star Wars than they have with the Muppets.
Oh, well, absolutely. But the thing is, the Muppets.
Let's not get into that. That's not a topic.
So with Star Wars, they have done a fairly decent job, and I can't even say fairly decent. It's a very 50-50
Like
job.
passable.
Yeah, it's a passable grade.
It's a D.
Yeah, it's a
D.
D. It's a D plus. It's a D plus. I'll give them a D plus because the movies haven't really got up to snuff.
No, but I don't think they ever were.
Yeah.
With the scrutiny of A, the fandom.
Yeah.
B, the last mainline Star Wars movie that came out was Revenge of the Sith.
Yeah.
Which is the second best Star Wars movie.
I mean, Clone
Absolutely.
Wars was going for a cool minute.
Yeah.
That was kind of sustaining Star Wars.
Bringing back that last season of the Clone Wars was great idea. The Bad Batch, amazing. I want to say anything on Disney Plus that they've done is top tier so far. Again, slow burn. Mando, even a slow burn too.
But I think we're all really looking forward to Obi-Wan.
Oh yeah, no, Obi-Wan. Okay, that's where
it's all gonna come to a head.
Yeah, because Obi-Wan needs to be good. If it is not in any which
That's
way,
it. That's the nail in the coffin.
yeah, because the thing is, we know it's not the actor. We know it's not the actors. As much as people want to bag on Hayden Christensen for being a bad Darth Vader, he was an amazing Darth Vader going through a really terrible time. Attack of the Clones was clearly him wanting to be evil, but he's like, no, you're not there yet. You're not there. You gotta wait.
And then it was like, I want to be this character, but the direction was, you can't yet. You're still holding in your emotions this whole time because you're a Jedi. And that's where oh, but he can't act. It's like, you guys don't get it. He can't show emotion because he's a Jedi.
He's a Jedi. And then Revenge of the Sith comes out. I was like, oh, okay, no, he's actually good.
Yeah, he's more confident now, and he's like,
he wait, what? He can act, and so that's where I'm like, all right, you got Ewan McGregor coming back as Obi-Wan. Come on.
Yeah, we have Joel Edgerton coming back as Uncle Owen.
Yeah.
And so you have the cast. That's great. I'm sure they're gonna have someone if they're gonna end up doing that has to be the finale. That has to be the finale. Is the what we saw in what was it, Clone Wars? No, Rebels, right? Where Darth Maul.
Yeah, Darth Maul versus Obi-Wan.
Yeah, Darth Maul versus Obi-Wan. Rebels also was a Disney. Was what Disney?
It was technically no. I think it was
a carryover, right?
It was a carryover because it was still in Lucas days, but it premiered on Disney XD.
Yeah. So then I guess not. But I'll give him credit. That was well done. Except for towards the end, it was a little.
But you're right. I think it does come to. I mean, oh God, do you think we'll get Vader versus Maul?
If we do, it's not going to be that great because obviously we know that they will survive.
Yeah.
But
that's what could make the fight good in theory. Is granted it's low stakes.
Yeah, then that's where the issue is. There's no low stakes. That's exactly how I felt.
But I think you can still have a lot of good fights that are
Yeah, I mean,
once it like
we-
stops himself. I'm like, no, I don't care about those storylines in WWE. Never mind. If there's not a title on the line, I don't care.
yeah, like it's if there's no stakes in it, then it's like it's cool. Like it'll be fan service. It'll be great fan service. I'll enjoy it, but there's nothing guiding it forward. And that's where the issue is going to be. But don't get me wrong, I would love to see Maul fight Vader, or not even Maul, but like just someone like just give me another like what's his race? Zabrak. Give me another Zabrak, like one of his like cousins who's just and then Vader can kill him.
Yeah, they
Like-
did that. They did that in like, well, we can't kill Maul. Let's make another
Yeah,
Zabrak that we can just.
let's make his brother, and then we can kill him because we can't kill Maul. Maul's got to go. You know.
What if
Maul's
they
gotta
went
go.
woke and they make another Zabrak that's female?
Oh, that's fine.
I mean, that-
Disney woke.
Yeah, I was like, I don't have a problem with that. I mean, if it's done well, like.